Hey everyone, it's Zach, and I'm back again with another Who Can Replace Blank. And in this time, we're going to do Who Can Replace Togekiss in the Series 6 format. As you know, just like the Whimsicott video I did before, Togekiss is one of those Pokemon that are going to be banned with the Series 6 rule change. Now, I did share the Whimsicott video on the VGC subreddit, and it did really well. So if you're here from the VGC subreddit, I want to say hi, and thanks for watching. But anyways, let's get into who can replace Togekiss. First off, we have to ask ourselves, why is Togekiss such a loss? Togekiss was in the top 3 of usage for doubles, number 2 in Battle Stadium Season 8, which is why it was banned. It was on that top 10 list. Togekiss is an overall bulky Pokemon. If we look at the stats in the corner, we see that it has 85 in HP, 95 in defense, and 115 in special defense. That's really nothing to scoff at. Togekiss is immune to ground and dragon. Ground immunity coming from the flying type, and dragon immunity coming from the fairy type. So those are 2 very good max moves to switch in on to get an immunity, Max Quake and Max Whirlwind, if you can predict where those moves are going, or even redirect it with a Follow Me. Togekiss has resistance to Grass, Fighting, Dark, and Bug. Although Bug isn't really that used, Grass we saw with Rillaboom coming in the number 1 spot above Togekiss, Fighting and Dark being 2 of the big moves that were carried by Cinderace with High Jump Kick and Sucker Punch. Togekiss could take those a lot better than most Pokemon. Togekiss also has 2 great abilities with Serene Grace and Super Luck, and as you'll see in the video later on, the thing that makes Togekiss so great is not only its base stats, but the fact that the abilities that it has a very limited distribution, especially in the Sword and Shield roster. Togekiss can come in a wide variety of sets. You can have offensive with Scope Lens, Weakness Policy, or Nasty Plot, or defensive with Bulk, Follow Me, and Yawn. So when a Togekiss first got onto the field, you had to figure out what kind of Togekiss it was before you approached it. Togekiss has a wide variety of coverage moves on both offense and defense that can take advantage of its abilities Serene Grace and Super Luck. In the chart below, I have on offense Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, and I think Dazzling Gleam is spelled wrong. I'm pretty sure it is. Sorry about that. Heat Wave, Ancient Power, and Flamethrower. And on the defensive side, Togekiss could have Follow Me, Helping Hand, Life Dew, Yawn, and Ally Switch. Now, Life Dew and Ally Switch, as well as Flamethrower and Ancient Power, wasn't seen that often on most Togekiss sets, but it was something you had to be aware of when you were facing a Togekiss. So now we ask ourselves, who can replace Togekiss? It really depends on what your main use for Togekiss is. In this video, we'll talk about the different ways Togekiss was used and how we can replace it. These are never going to be one-to-one swaps. Switching Togekiss for another Pokemon will always change type matchups and synergy. But we could look at its pre-evolution, Togetic, which has the same typing and same abilities. So when we look at Togekiss versus Togetic, we can see its stats on the side, and you lose about 140 overall base stats, but the distribution can be evened out through Eviolite. Things you gain or keep with Togetic are all its abilities like Serene Grace and Super Luck. And like I said before, those abilities are very limited in their distribution. With Eviolite, Togekiss can actually gain a higher defense and special defense, so you could use Togetic as a bulkier Mon to replace a bulkier Togekiss. When it comes to offense, you have Dazzling Gleam, which I'm pretty sure is misspelled again, Heat Wave, and Ancient Power. On the defensive side, you have Helping Hand, Follow Me, Yawn, and Safeguard. Safeguard isn't really a move that's used too much on Togekiss, but it's something that could fit into the move slot of Togetic. Now, let's look at what's important when replacing Togekiss for Togetic. You lose base stats 30 HP, 10 defense, 40 special attack, 10 special defense, and 40 speed. Now, that loss in defense and special defense could be made up with Eviolite, but the loss in special attack and speed is something that you're really going to be missing if you choose to replace your Togekiss with Togetic. With Eviolite, you lose an item. Items are pretty critical to Togekiss's success. You see things like Scope Lens for its Serene Grace and Super Luck to increase the crit chance, but Berry to survive those max steel spikes, Safety Goggles to redirect sleep powders, and Weakness Policy to give your offensive Togekiss that extra boom. Offensive wise, you lose Air Slash. Air Slash is a move that Togekiss learns based on evolution. So if you're running a Togetic, you lose Air Slash. Now I know with most defensive sets, Air Slash was the go-to move over Dazzling Gleam to hold as your one attacking move. The best replacement for that is Tri-Attack, and with Serene Grace, you could go for Paris Freezes and Burns, which might actually be really good if you need it. And defensively, you lose Ally Switch. Now, like I said before, Togekiss really didn't carry Ally Switch, so this isn't that big of a loss unless you're using Ally Switch on your Togekiss. So first, let's look at the ways Togekiss was ran. And the first place we're going to look is the Super Luck. Now, if you don't know, Super Luck increases your chances of getting critical hits. You might have seen the Scope Lens Crit Kiss running around in the metagame. The only other fully evolved Mon that gets Super Luck in Sword and Shield is Unfezant. There are some pros and cons if you choose to replace your Togekiss with Unfezant. As you can see, the base stats, it's a little bit faster. It's actually 13 base points faster versus Togekiss. Unfezant is a physical attacker. So with Togekiss, you had your Super Lux on the special side, but with Unfezant, you're going to have it on the physical side. That might fit well in your team, that might not. You might need that special attacker. We'll talk about that later on. It has a decent moveset that could take advantage of the Super Luck with Brave Bird, Quick Attack, U-Turn, Night Slash, and Giga Impact. Those are all really hard-hitting moves. And Giga Impact, you could actually run a Super Luck with Life Orb, kind of like a Porygon Z, and have a physical Hyper Beam with Giga Impact. One of the big pros of Unfezant over Togekiss is that you get access to Tailwind and Roost. Some things that Togekiss could take advantage of, and it usually does through its max airstream, is speed control, and Tailwind can get that up turn 1 with Unfezant. Unfezant also gets access to Roost. Its defense is lacking compared to Togekiss, so I feel like if you are going to run Unfezant, you might need that Roost to keep your Unfezant on the field and viable. Another pro is that Unfezant is ghost immune. Being part normal type, Unfezant actually cannot get hit by ghost attacks, but the biggest ghost attacker, Dragapult, is also being banned with Togekiss, so I don't know how much of an advantage that is at this point in time. Some of the cons, the bad sides of running Unfezant is that you have less base special defense, more than cut in half. You have less base attack compared to Togekiss's special attack, only by 5 points, so that's not really that big of a deal. But like I said before, if you're looking for a special attacker, Unfezant isn't going to be that. There's no Helping Hand or Follow Me. Some Togekisses would run one Helping Hand or one Follow Me just to change it up and be able to help as attack and attack as well. And it, like I said, with the pros and cons, based on your needs, it's a physical attacker, and it has less resistances than Togekiss. It's only resistant to Bug and Grass. And like I said, Bug isn't really that used. And with Grass, Rillaboom's leaving. So how much would Unfezant need that Grass resistance? Now let's look at the Serene Grace substitutes. For our Serene Grace substitutes, you have Blissey, Chansey, and Dunsparce. That's it. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding. But let's take a look at Blissey and Chansey. They get a lot of supporting moves like Togekiss can. They support, though, via healing, where most of the time Togekiss really support it with Follow Me or Helping Hand, and sometimes Yawn. You can replace Yawn with Sing, but it's inaccurate, but it takes place turn 1 as soon as it hits, if you do hit it. And then Blissey and Chansey also get access to Thunder Wave, which can slow down your opponents in place of those max airstreams without the damage, of course. Blissey and Chansey do have a high special defense and a high HP, but some of the cons is that Blissey and Chansey have almost no physical defense at all. So if you're going against a physical attacker, Blissey and Chansey aren't really going to help you. Serene Grace on Blissey and Chansey mostly come in the forms of stat drops. Serene Grace was used for Togekiss more as a burn for Heat Wave, and especially those flinches on Air Slash. You're not going to get that with Chansey or Blissey. You're mostly going to get just stat drops, which can be helpful, but not immediately helpful like a flinch. Another con is Chansey almost always wants to have Eviolite. Chansey needs that Eviolite to be more viable with that low physical defense, and with Eviolite, its special defense stats become monstrous. Now our other Serene Grace user is Dunsparce. Dunsparce. Don't get me wrong here, I haven't used it myself, but Dunsparce does have possible setups. You've seen the videos before of people using Dunsparce to sweep somehow. Dunsparce does get access to Air Slash, so if somehow you can outspeed your opponent, maybe even set a Trick Room, you can get flinches through Air Slash. Dunsparce does get Glare, which can help you slow down your opponents so you can get those Air Slash flinches, and the Disruptive Yawn to make them force them into either falling asleep or switching out. These are a lot of things, Air Slash and Yawn, and speed control through Glare. Those are a lot of things that Togekiss did. It does have a decent amount of moves that take advantage of Serene Grace, whether it's through statuses, stat decreases, or even the Air Slash flinch. Dunsparce does have the move pool to take advantage of it if you can get the speed. Overall, the cons with Dunsparce is that one, it's super slow, and its overall base stat total is a lot lower than Togekiss's. So you're going to have less bulk, you're going to have less offensive presence, and another con is that it's Dunsparce. Really. Let's look at Follow Me support. Now, this is kind of a weird replacement because once Indeedee, female, and Togekiss are gone, the only Follow Me support we're going to get is from our first group right here, and that's Clefairy and Clefable. Now, some of the pros of Clefairy and Clefable is that they are Dragon Immune, have access to Helping Hand. They're going to be the only Pokemon that have Follow Me. Another pro with Clefairy and Clefable is their abilities. Magic Guard on Clefable stops Chip from sand or hail, or I don't know if it covers the Firestorm from Charizard or the rocks from Colossal, but I'd be curious to find out, because if so, that might be a valuable thing against those two Pokemon. And more importantly, the more commonly used one is Friend Guard with Clefairy. Clefairy will, on the field with Friend Guard, makes its teammate take 3/4 less damage. So you're going to have a 25% damage reduction to your Pokemon when Clefairy is on the field. Clefairy and Clefable get access to Ally Switch and Sing, so they can move around and put the opponent's Pokemon to sleep. Some of the cons when compared to Togekiss is that it loses a Grass Resist, not being a flying type, and you lose overall base stats compared to Togekiss. They're not going to have as high defenses or speeds or offensive, just like the Dunsparce, but they're more of a supportive role. Clefairy almost always wants to have that Eviolite as well, so if you already have an Eviolite user on your team, maybe a Dusclops, you're going to have to find another item for Clefairy or find another item for Dusclops. And in that case, I would probably just put a Babiri Berry on Clefairy or Clefable and call it a day. My next support replacement is a weird one, but hear me out. Serena's ability, Queenly Majesty, prevents fake out and priority moves. So it's kind of like a Psychic Terrain that stays on the field as long as Serena's on the field, so you don't have to worry about it going away. You just have to worry about keeping Serena on the field healthy. Serena comes with a solid attack at 120, which is the same as Togekiss's special attack, and it has moves like Taunt, Helping Hand, and Teeter Dance. Now, Teeter Dance is a weird one, but as we've seen with G-Max Smite with G-Max Hatterini, confusing your opponent could be really helpful. Some of the bad parts with Serena is that it's Charizard and Colossal weak. Being weak to Fire, is going to be really bad against matchups with those Pokemon. You also do not get Follow Me. Like I said before, the Clefairy line is going to be the only Pokemon that have access to Follow Me once Indeedee and Togekiss are gone. And you lose a little bit of bulk compared to Togekiss, but not that much. So honestly, if you're okay with losing Follow Me and want to gain things like Taunt and some attacking moves, Serena might be a good replacement for even Indeedee or Togekiss. So I kind of want to look into it and bulk it up and see if it will be effective. Another one is Meowstic. Now, Meowstic was in our Whimsicott video as well, and someone let me know on the VGC subreddit that it got Helping Hand and that it didn't have Helping Hand. So if I do get any corrections like I did in the last video, they will be in the description down below. Meowstic does get access to Fake Out, Helping Hand, Taunt, Weather, Imprison, Trick Room, Ally Switch, and it has a higher speed than Kiss. Is that higher speed really going to be important with Meowstic running Prankster? Not really, but it's always good to note for the attacking side of Meowstic. Now, with Meowstic, you do not get the Follow Me once again. You do not get Taunt, which Togekiss didn't either, and you have lower overall physical defenses than Togekiss. And my last support replacement that could fill the role of Togekiss is Gothitelle. Gothitelle was used a lot with Durant at the beginning of competitive, and let's take a look on how it could replace Togekiss now. It does get access to Fake Out, Taunt, Fake Tears, Trick Room, Imprison, and Ally Switch. Not a lot of things Togekiss had besides the Ally Switch, but it can be very useful in disrupting the opponent like Togekiss could do with max Airstreams, with Follow Me, with Helping Hand. The downsides with Gothitelle is that there's not a lot of resistances. It only has, I believe, 1, and it's 2 times weak to Dark, Ghost, and Bug, the same as Meowstic. Now, with Meowstic and Gothitelle's weaknesses, I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be because Incineroar's going, Dragapult's going, so who's really hitting with a Ghost or a Dark type move? Maybe Mimikyu, but it's going to be able to stick around on the field because a lot of those typings aren't as commonly used once those top 10 Pokemon disappear. It does have a lower base speed than Togekiss, which could help you in a Trick Room setting, but it is important to note that it does have a lower base speed than Togekiss. Now, let's look at offense. So Togekiss wasn't really used as an offensive mon towards the end. It more of got those critical hits through Super Luck or those flinches through Serene Grace. And besides that, it was being a supportive Pokemon with Helping Hand and Follow Me. But Togekiss at one point in time was mostly used as a weakness policy mon at the very beginning of the 2020 season. So let's look at how Togekiss could be replaced offensively. My first choice is Primarina. Primarina has a strong special attack and it has a high special defense. I actually think they're 1 base stat higher than Togekiss. It's a very good Maxmon, something that Togekiss did as well. You could keep it non-Dynamax and be effective, or you can max it and get that extra couple damage like Togekiss was commonly used. One good thing about Primarina that you can't really say for Togekiss is that it can work in and out of Trick Room. In that base speed 60 range, you could tweak it so it's slower and being more effective in Trick Room. Primarina has access to a lot of spread moves, whether it's Hyper Voice, Dazzling Gleam, Blizzard, Surf. There's a lot of moves that Primarina can take advantage of. Primarinas commonly ran with the Assault Vest or Throat Spray to get a boost in special attack or to make it even bulkier on the special side. And it actually has more resistances than Togekiss. And with Primarina, I want to say that I feel like in the competitive landscape, Primarina has its own place and it has already really proven itself as a viable mon in doubles. But if you don't have a Primarina on your team and you're looking for a Togekiss replacement, Primarina could be one of those mons that you can look at. Some of the bad things about Primarina is that you have lower speeds than Kiss, 60 versus 80, and lower physical defense being 74 versus 95. Primarina is also 2 times weak to Grass, Electric, and Poison, which are a couple of hard-hitting moves that random mons will carry. You've always seen a Pokemon randomly carry Thunderbolt or Thunder Punch to hit, or to prop max Lightning to block Yawns or Sleep. So you have to be careful about that with Primarina. My next offensive Togekiss replacement would be Sylveon. Pixelate gives it stab normal type moves. So with Pixelate, any move that is a normal type move becomes a fairy type move, so you get more stab bonuses with more moves. It has good coverage with Mystical Fire and Shadow Ball, being really good to hit those steel types, especially with Mystical Fire, and just dealing good damage when fairy moves aren't enough. It does have a fairy type quick attack, which can be used to proc weakness policy on Pokemon like Goodra, for example. So that could be a good setup option if you want to do that. It has good HP and special defense bulk, which I actually think are even or higher than Togekiss's. And another advantage it has over Togekiss is that it's only 2 times weak to Steel and Poison. Togekiss, being a flying type, got an extra weakness to Electric and Rock, but Sylveon does not have those. Another thing I'd like to note is that Sylveon also gets access to Yawn and Helping Hand. Like I said before, one of those things that Togekiss did really well is to be offensive and defensive at the same time, having things like Air Slash and Dazzling Gleam to help you get crits and flinches, but it also had Yawn and Helping Hand to give your other Pokemon another boost, or Yawn to disrupt the other side of the field. One thing you have to look at when comparing it to Togekiss is that it has lower defense with 65 versus Togekiss's 80, and it has a lower speed with 60 versus 80. But like I said with Primarina, it's in that 60 range where you can tweak it so it's good in Trick Room, which is something you really can't say for Togekiss. Now my last one is kind of my wild card, and hear me out on this one. Aegislash. Now, Aegislash can be a special, physical, or mixed attacker. So just like Togekiss being, you don't know whether it's an offensive or defensive Togekiss, with Aegislash, you don't know if it's a physical or special or mixed set. So you can always tweak its EVs to go to one side or another or be mixed. Aegislash has access to King Shield and Wide Guard. King Shield can be really good if you want to get the opponent to attack into you and lower their physical attack. And Wide Guard is good to help against those spread moves. Things like Heat Wave, Dazzling Gleam, Hyper Voice. Aegislash has 3 immunities, so it won't take damage from fighting, poison, or normal type moves, and it has 9 resistances. Aegislash can be a very good, very bulky mon. Some of the negatives with Aegislash is that its stats shift with its forms. So Aegislash has the defense form, the shield, or the attack form, or blade form. When you're in blade form, those stats go into attack, and when you're in shield mode, those stats go into defense. So the pattern can get predictable, and it could open you up to an attack if you don't get a King Shield up, or if they know that you're going to attack and they can wait for you to open up yourself to blade form. This could be a pro though, because you could use that to play mind games, sort of like a form of ally switch. Like, oh, Aegislash attack this turn, so it's going to King Shield next turn. No, I'm going to attack. I'm going to take that advantage. So this could be a mind game that you can play. A big con of Aegislash is that its Dynamax is nerfed. So Aegislash, when it Dynamaxes, cannot shift back into shield mode with a max guard. So if you Dynamax your Aegislash, you're always going to have that 50 base stat in special and physical defense. And something that is not really a con, but it's something that you need to note, is that Aegislash is slower than Togekiss, which is something you kind of want. With Aegislash, you want it to stay in that shield mode until it's ready to attack. That way it doesn't get hit in its blade mode. But anyways, that's going to be all. I want to say thank you for Cerebi. That's where I get the images for the slides. Thank you, Smogon, to give me information on the coverage, the moves, the abilities, and the speed tiers. I really didn't use data decks too much, but I do use it for my team building when looking for type relations and move type coverage charts. Thank you, Pikalytics. I use Pikalytics to really look at the moves that Togekiss used, so I could look to see what Pokemon could replace Togekiss and looking into those moves. And thank you, Bulbapedia, for the base stat spreads. I want to know, what did you think? Let me know down in the comments below how you plan on recovering from Togekiss's disappearance. Once again, let's talk about how you feel about the Series 6 rule change in the comments down below as well. And if I make another one of these videos, who should I cover next? I'm kind of leaning towards Incineroar because it's a little easier to cover the Pokemon that play more of a supportive role than an offensive one, like Venusaur, for example. I want to take suggestions in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And anyways, I'm Zach. Thanks for watching.